Check. Test. 1, 2. We're good. We're live. Hey, we're back here at NorthEast Music Con Collectibles and Extravaganza in Boxborough, Mass. I mean, we just had an amazing guest, but we have another amazing guest here. You might recognize this gentleman from Megadeath, Lamb of God. There's a whole crap load. I totally forgot all of them.
Most recently, it's the Kings of Thrash with Dave Ellison and Jeff Young and the rest of the guys. And so I've also done stuff with Redemption and so many other. I guessed on a lot of stuff. So
just in case you're wondering this gentleman's name, this is Mr. Chris Poland. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
I did not mess up his name.
Yeah, that's a pretty. Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You know.
Poland.
Yeah.
Poland.
Some people say that because I don't know why. But.
So, well, thank you. I just want to thank you first of all for taking 5 minutes out of the busy day. You know,
Thanks
I know you guys are here to promote what you do.
Right.
And speaking of, you were telling me before we went live, you have a new album that's going to be dropping.
Yeah, we're hoping it is. I mean, right now Ohm is about to go in the studio and finally record a record that has been due. It's overdue, so that we're going to do that now. But I found a bunch of music that we recorded with our drummer David Eagle, who God bless his soul, he passed away. But we found these takes. It was like the pinnacle of that era of the band when he was in it.
Yeah.
And when he passed away, we just never went back to those songs. It was just,
we
just didn't. We couldn't. And I found my manager, Steve Bowers, sent me a CD of all these tracks. And I played them for Pag, my bass player. And we both looked at each other and we were like, oh my God, I forgot about all this. This was the best material we ever wrote. And, and when we rehearse, I have my own control room, tracking room studio in LA. And we rehearse there. And I always set up the recordings. I get a really, really good mix. And, it's made to make records. So when we finally get a good take, I'll save that CD. And somehow my manager got all of it. And,
isn't it tricky how they get all of it sometimes?
Yeah. And so I am so excited about it. I have a guy, a really good mastering guy that's working on it right now at my studios. And as soon as it's done, Brian from Cleopatra has already said he'd like to hear it. So I already have somebody interested. So I'm really excited about that. And of course, I'm excited to make a record with Carlos Cruz.
Right.
He's a drummer from Warbringer, and he brings that Nick Menza element to the home stuff we're doing now.
That's cool.
Because Nick took our band and he just gave it muscle, where before it was too eclectic,
Right.
Yeah. So, that's incredible. Well, so take us through your writing process. I imagine it's different for everybody.
You know what? It's funny if I'm sitting around and all of a sudden I have a desire to play guitar, it's usually because I'm going to write a song. And I always do it. And I always have something with me to capture it, because I'll remember the chords and the notes, but it's the rhythm that I forget.
Yeah.
So kind of like Kurt Hammett, I just put it on my phone and try not to lose my phone.
Is it at least backed up to the cloud or anything?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
it is.
Just have all.
Could you see that now?
Catalog.
I have Chris's phone.
It is, but you know what? I have 2 other phones that, as phones get older, you put them away.
Right.
I have songs on those phones. So I just, I go back. Actually, a record I made in Chicago, it's called Redemption. I'm sorry, it's called, what's it called?
You do so much stuff. You can't even.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. Let me get my phone.
Well, anyway, it's with a bunch of guys out of Chicago, and Billy Dickens is playing bass on it. And, it's called Resistance. And it was all the songs ideas I had on my phone that my bass player, Pag, kind of just, when I showed it to him, he kind of just looked at his shoes. And I said, okay, I know when Pag doesn't want to do a song. So, but I played it for the guys in Chicago, and they're like, yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome.
So you started off a jazz fusion guitar influence, and that's how you played.
Well, I mean, I started out trying to be Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and Jimi Hendrix and Leslie West and all those guys.
Makes sense.
And then when I heard Jeff Beck do Blow by Blow and Wired, and then I got into John McLaughlin, then I just totally dropped anything but that kind of music, and I started listening to Weather Report and Return to Forever, and then I got into sax players, and so I just really I'm influenced by that music, but I'm not on that level, those guys read and write music, and they actually know what they're doing.
Well, I wouldn't say you're not on that.
Yeah,
level.
I would. Yeah,
I mean,
being very.
No, man.
Sometimes-
no, like, you know, I just don't know what I'm playing. I couldn't tell you what scale I'm playing. I couldn't tell you the chord. I know what key I'm playing in, but that's about it.
Oh, like Mixolydian, and
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is Phrygian. Yeah,
I
so
only know what I know, and I only know how to do it like I do it. So.
I have a little bit of a jazz background, but so I saw that, you know, the jazz thing, and you obviously traveled. Where would you say is a good hotspot for jazz? You personally that you
Oh
like?
God, well, New York for
New-
sure.
They got a good jazz scene. That's great because that's not too far from here. So
right.
New York, L.A. The Baked Potato is a wonderful little club where Justin Randy at the Baked Potato has got everybody under the sun, and it doesn't matter. It can be rock, it can be jazz, it can be jazz fusion, it can be blues, and that's a great place to see a band.
Right.
And Chicago too. Chicago's full of jazz clubs.
So pretty much anywhere.
But Kansas City,
yeah.
no, yeah, it really it is.
Right.
There's got to be one jazz club in any major city in America.
yeah. There's actually a little kind of actually I think that Mickey Dolenz has played there. It's Shy's Pub in East Brookfield. So shout out Shy's.
There you go.
Shameless.
It used to be
plugs
something. It used to be
are
something
us.
else. Dunny's, but now it's Shy. So
Yeah.
there you go. Shy's a good dude.
So with all your traveling and playing in multiple well-known bands, what would you say one of your most favorite places to play is? Country, city, and whatever you want to.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, whenever I've been to Europe on a tour, whenever I got back home, I realized that this is the best country in the world.
I love that answer.
And so
Couldn't agree with you more.
And every time I got back, I was like, wow, it's sure good to be home.
Right.
Even though I enjoy Germany, I really like Frankfurt.
Yeah.
I like Denmark. I like all of it, but it's not the same. So
That's awesome.
No, I love America, man.
Oh,
Fitting for this weekend.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot
I got my-
4th of July.
Oh, no,
My
I got
Statue
the
of Liberty
business-
Hawaiian
I
shirt.
got the
on.
business shirt on today. Well,
Yeah.
it's semi-business shirt.
But I don't know. As far as clubs and stuff, I really like, if we're playing a theater, I like places that are like mostly wood. Guitars sound really
Right.
good in a wood room.
Well, now that you say something like clubs and things, do you prefer the big, huge monster venues with 100,000 people, or do you like the small,
Intimate.
200 intimate style?
I like both, but like the Baked Potato is very, right there.
Right.
It's maybe 3 times as big as this room.
Oh,
Yeah. And
so you can fit 10 people in this.
yeah,
Sweet.
it holds, I don't know, like 120 people. or
Yeah, no, that was a joke because the
But,
cameras can't see how big the room really
Yeah,
is.
but Bonamassa plays there, but he'll
Right.
do 3 nights. He'll do a Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. or
Right.
Friday,
Baked
Saturday,
potato.
Sunday. And
I know, baked potato. Now I'm hungry.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many. I've seen Mike Landau at the Baked Potato, and it just basically changed my life. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Wow.
It was like otherworldly, and a lot of great players at the Baked Potato.
What would you say, like now, like the newer generation, like who would you be listening to? Who would Chris Poland be listening to of like this era that we're in or entering? Any
Yeah.
new artists that you're like, oh, that guy's actually really good, or
I'm
girl?
kind of not
Feeling it.
I mean, there's Guthrie Govan that I'm totally amazed by, but I'm not like I said, I'm running 210 studios in LA, and basically when I go in my room, I'm just trying to make myself write something,
Right.
and then kind of see the concept of the song. So I don't get a lot of time to. My manager turns me on to stuff, but it's been a while because he's got a family, 2 kids, and he's a professor.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned that prior to going live, that when you're not doing your job or whichever job it is that you might be doing that day, it's family time afterwards.
Right,
And
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
that's like righteous and respectful in my eyes. I mean, I love to hear that.
yeah, and I used to rehearse a lot. I mean, we used to rehearse like sometimes 3 nights a week
Oof.
if we had a gig coming up. So-
Right.
And I wasn't home a lot, and that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But things are different now.
Well, with technology, I think it makes it just a little easier, but it's not the same. And that hug or that hello is just not the same
Right,
as it is,
right.
to the camera. But
Right.
speaking of cameras, we have about 1 minute left with this amazing gentleman because we got to let him get back to what he's supposed to be here doing.
Okay.
Yeah. I love,
Oh, we have one question on the interweb. Let's
Yeah.
see what they have to say.
Oh my God! Well, Lamb of God was great, and it was the most challenging of a lot of the things I've done. But I think Redemption, I'm really those guys. You know, I really like those guys, and I like working with them, and that was a really fun thing to do. I dug working with Dave Mustaine when we did The System Has Failed. It was just like after the second day, it was just like with the way we always used to interact when we weren't drunk and fighting. But,
That's a story for another show, folks.
But I like working with everybody. It's just always fun. I mean, I love it. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have this, you know?
Right. So
I know, it's just like he's just like the nicest guy, like
Isn't
so
he?
unassuming. You can walk by and be like, "Oh, you see that guy? Yeah, he's like a nice guy. Yeah, he's guitarist in Megadeath and Lamb of God." Like,
right.
Oh, no, I'm a guest. Oh my God, I'm not.
no, that you've played with them.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
oh yeah,
Right,
he's
right.
just. It's like what
Yeah,
he
Chris
does.
Adler.
He does what?
Chris Adler, the drummer from Lamb of God, he was a huge Megadeth fan, and so at the time, my engineer friend was Peter Sardelich, and he was in the control room, and he was bringing up the song, and he looked at me like with this like concerned look, and he says, "Dude, you better go get a quad mente, man." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Holy shit!" And it was like Megadeth on steroids, tone wise, but the speed and it was like surgical, man.
Oh yeah.
And so it took me deep breaths and coffee.
So on that note, I want to thank you for coming and hanging out.
Yeah,
Make sure you guys keep an eye out for Mr. Poland's album drop coming up, hopefully soon
Hopefully
year.
soon.
Early next year.
Early next
All right,
year.
let's
Okay,
look.
you
That's
heard
not
it
too
here,
bad.
Early next
That's
year.
not
So
too-
that's not too
yeah.
bad, especially when it comes to albums.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's a process.
it is. It is. So we want to thank you for hanging out with us today. I
Thanks
hope
for
you're
having us.
enjoying the
Yeah,
show.
thank you
We're-
so
am.
much.
You know, if you like what you're seeing, folks, we're going to be back shortly again with some more great guests. So on that note, we'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.